All right, public again. Go ahead and double check if you like.
Still waiting for the live to pop up.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what it's like being at Creditor Academy too. Oh, can you test this? Is this working? Is this going on just fine?
You're good to go. You're good to
I'm
go.
good to go. Awesome, awesome. All right, I'm going to reverse back for just a few people. Again, you know, just to get, I'm going to highlight this. For those of you on YouTube, we're on the 9 basic aspects of the Ubot. It forms contracts between parties set forth in the purpose. It's a legal entity and an artificial individual with the rights equal to a natural person able to own property and conduct business. This is what I really want you guys to understand how powerful this is. It's a different entity or person. The assets are owned and its business activities managed by the trustees. The beneficial interests are divided into capital units evidenced by trust certificates. The capital units are personal property, which conveys neither legal title to the property nor to any voice in the management of the business or the selection of trustees. Neither legal title. You want to own nothing, control everything. A Ubot is subject to taxation on its distributable net income. The beneficiaries are only taxed on what they receive. The assets of a Ubot are never subject to probate or estate tax because as an artificial person, it never dies. The capital units become void upon the death of the holder and thus have no value to be subject to the estate tax or probate. This is nice. If you have property inside of a trust, you might already know this now. No probate, no estate tax or anything. Your family member who passes, if they named the beneficiaries of the property inside of their declaration of trust or indenture agreement, it just goes right to that person, and which is amazing. I see so many, no legal battles, no arguing, no going to court, no the state not getting hold of your assets. It's the way to go. And then life of the Ubot can be extended as deemed advisable or terminated at any time by the trustees in accordance with the trust indenture or contract. I'm going to go over this really. Maybe I won't. Maybe I won't. Because there's some differences. Let me see if they, yeah. So let me go over these differences just really fast. Statutory trust versus a constitutional trust. I don't think I need to tell you which one we will be operating in, but merely holds property till death, where owns property in fee simple. It usually is a revocable trust, is always an irrevocable trust. I cannot stress this enough. Irrevocable is the way to go. Has a statutory termination date where it cannot be determined by statute and can renew each 20 years. Protection and conserves property only where it can operate as any business. Arises from statutory provisions and regulations versus arises from the law of contract. Legal and equity title is split. Legal and equity title is not split. Consideration not involved. Consideration involved. Exercise of a privilege. Exercise of a right. Okay, that is an amazing summation of the advantages of why we have done the trust. Patrick Devine discovered the importance of the foreign grantor trust very early on in the year, like 2011. And he was like, we need a trust for our private bank. It is like the vault, but we need to put it into a jurisdiction outside of the control of the local government entities. That's why the best protection, as he found, was the non-Hague convention countries. And this is what, so now not only you get the benefits of all of the trust benefits that are laid out in your indenture agreement and the privacy that you receive, but now you also get to take advantage of the jurisdiction that you're under, which is far away from creditors. Now we're going to go ahead. We're going to look at very quickly my declaration of trust. One that's my kind of outline. I did this for clients all the time. And this is kind of my document where my legal team put together, and then I just plug in the information. But it's the declaration of trust where you put the trust name. So you put declaration, for example, this would be where your foreign grantor trust would be named in the middle.
Hey,
and,
Michael, I don't think the screen came over. We're still looking at the files.
Oh, yep. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yep. Totally. Okay. And there you are.
What would you do without us, Paul?
I know, man. I rely on you and all of our staff all of the time. I appreciate y'all. Okay. The declaration of trust, or the trust name, goes at the top. This is where you put your foreign grantor trust or your business trust. I put Creditor Academy up here. I set up a business trust through an SS4 form. I did it online. And I'll also put up an example SS4 form that I did. It was very simple and pretty straightforward. But this agreement, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the outline of it, because I not only have to show you what document that you need to establish your trust, but I also need to show you how to manage it. And again, this is a quick start guide to doing that. And a lot of my clients, off of my quick start guide, were able to get the ball rolling. I mean, obviously they needed a lot more to learn, because, you know, the responsibility of a trustee is a high responsibility, but this gets you started. And again, for so many people who got remedy already through Creditor Academy, it's the same way that people are getting similar or exact remedy from all the other gurus you see online, because what they're doing is asset protection. They're putting their assets inside of the trust in a foreign jurisdiction away from creditors. And this is the agreement that they place their property under to get it out. And so this is, I'm going to do the relation to this, because this is what you'll see on every single website when you kind of do independent research of the truth movement. But this agreement and declaration of trust, and you put the city and the Commonwealth of the state and the date, and then you're going to list your trustees, and pretty much here within, along with any successor or additional trustee or trustees appointed here under, collectively referred to as the trustees. And such persons may become parties hereto by the acceptance of certificates of transferable shares of beneficial interests issued hereinafter, sometimes referred to as stockholders. So what do? Right off the bat, we said, hey, collectively referred to as trustees, who are the appointees of the trust, and who the stockholders are as well. So we do that list. Right off the bat, when you hit your recitals, you're going to want to put the state and the chapter of laws that you operate under. If it's a business trust within the United States. Now, remember, when you do a foreign grantor trust and you're operating for profit, because you can operate for profit with a foreign grantor trust in the United States, you would also want to put the state in which you are operating that state. Now, the difference between the foreign grantor trust that Patrick Devine set up versus what the business trust, what this is doing, is the difference between profit and nonprofit. That's the high end of this. The profit version does not deal with equitable exchange, where the nonprofit deals with equitable exchange. And what that means is with the equitable exchange is if I give you a job that is worth $100 and you do the job, then we just did an exchangement of your labor for monetary exchange. It's an equal exchange. I didn't make a profit off of you because you did a $100 job and I gave you a $100 promissory note, basically is what these Federal Reserve notes are. And that's equitable exchange. It's just exchangement. Where on the Creditor Academy side, if I was to make a profit off of a service that I am providing, now I'm not operating in equity. I'm operating in commerce for profit. So I have to do taxes. So that's why when we're discerning ourselves on where I'm kind of leading you with Patrick Devine's process and explain to you in the final end of it is when we get your private bank set up, you're going to pay your employees through equitable exchange. So then you can get your returns back and all that for the work that they do. But then when you start building your own business trust, which is separate from your private bank and it operates for profit, that'll be a different way of doing commerce, or it is doing commerce. So it's doing that. So we're going to go through that. This is why I'm setting up everything for my private bank the way that I am first with the nonprofit, so I could do equitable exchange. But for my Creditor Academy, I put Washington State and the chapters of the general law that I'm operating under. Okay. Next is the declaration itself. Now, therefore, the trustees hereby declare, and the parties hereto hereby agree as follows. The trustees shall hold all money and other property now or hereafter acquired by them as trustees, whether transferred by subscribers for the issuance of shares hereunder or otherwise by any other person, together with the proceeds and profits thereof, in trust to conduct such general business and related activities as they deem proper for the benefit of the stockholders, including but not limited to directly or indirectly owning, acquiring, investing, buying, selling, trading, or otherwise dealing in and or with interests in one or more other entities, acquiring by purchase, sale, mortgage, lease, pledge, or any other way of owning, acquiring, investing in, buying, selling, trading, and otherwise dealing in and or with any property of any kind and nature, whether real or personable, tangible or intangible, and engaging in any other business which the trustees deem necessary, appropriate, or advisable to the conduct of the business, all upon the following terms. That is your declaration. That is all encompassing, meaning you give the trustees absolute dominion and control over everything. And that's what you want. If you're the guarantor and also the trustee, you want to be able to manage your assets to that level of control, but without the liability. And that is the thing, is when you're a trustee, you are immune because you are an employee of the trust, not the owner of the trust. And the guarantor is anonymous. No one knows who the guarantor is. No one reveals it. That's why you always see the trustees and the board of directors. Now, the name of the trust and the location, all acts of the trustees relating to this trust may be done under the name of, and that's where you put your business trust, holding trust, or such other name or names as the trustees may from time to time adopt. The mailing address, you put the mailing address, and the trustees of the following provisions shall apply to the trustees serving under this trust agreement. Now you'll put the number of your tenure, You know, there shall be at all times this many trustees. How many trustees are you going to have? Are you just be you? You're going to have a family member? You know, are you going to hire them out? How many trustees is required to always be on staff? And what are the provisions of the trust if one of your trustees leaves? Is there a backup, or do you have to do a voting process? What is it? The resignation of trustees, the removal of trustees, the succession of trustees. All of these are things that you need to consider when you're sitting down and writing your declaration of trust. That goes in more. List additional trustees. Meetings of the trustees. No regular meetings of the trustees need to be held. Meetings may be called by the president or the clerk, and these appointed, or by any trustee, by 7 days written notice specifying the place, time, and anticipated matters. Now, the majority of states, actually I want to say all of them, require you to do meeting minutes with your trustees to overlook all of your assets, talk about what your indenture is going to look like, or if anything needs to be added, taken away. You can give your provisions in the Declaration of Trust to say anything. You can say, the guarantor can say, I have total and complete ability to add or change my declaration of trust anytime that I want. But you do need your meetings at least once a year. That is a requirement by most states for reporting, and we're going to get into that as well. Voting, delegation. Now, powers and responsibilities. Here's a big one. General responsibilities and authority consistent with the duties and obligations of the limitations on the trustees as set forth herein and under the laws of the Commonwealth of There you go. That's why you read. State. The trustees are accountable to the stockholders as fiduciaries and are required to perform their duties in good faith. Good faith. How many times we read that from Patrick Devine under the UCC 9? As the secured party, you're operating under good faith. And in the manner of each trustee believes to be in the best interest of the trust and its stockholders, which such care, including reasonable inquiry, as a prudent person in a like position would use in similar circumstances. Remember, if you name yourself as the trustee, the onus of responsibility that you hold is to your stockholders or your beneficiaries. That is the purpose of your position, not for self-gain or anything like that. You do get paid for the job that you do. Trustees get paid for that position. And there's usually a salary or an hourly income or something like that. And plus, the trustee can hire employees to manage the trust assets. So there's expenses for that as well. Again, operating like a normal corporation or company. And then all for the benefit of the beneficiaries. The trustee's responsibility is to make sure that the assets do not fall or go under. It's a huge responsibility. Let's go down more. Specific powers and authority in the administration of the trust, in addition to any powers or authority conferred by this agreement or which the trustees may have by virtue of any present or future statute or rule of law, the trustees acting by vote of trustee, except otherwise specified in this agreement, shall have and may exercise at any time from time to time without any action or consent by the stockholders. You don't need stockholders' consent in order to operate. It is up to the trustees to vote on what actions need to be taken in the best form for the company. And that's great because now you don't have the stockholders ruling over the decisions of the company. But the stockholders do have power. They can definitely utilize their trust certificates in a lot of different ways. The following powers and authority which may or may not be exercised by them in their sole judgment and discretion and in such manner and upon such terms and conditions as they from time to time deem proper. Okay. You can make contracts, expedite the conduct of the business trust. You can loan money. You can sue people for money. You can do mediation, defend by legal action, I mean, private attorney in fact type stuff, you know, that's what I would send it over to. I'm like, oh, the private attorney in fact, or attorney in fact, it could handle all those situations. You can hold bonds, shares, or other securities in bearer form and cause legal title to any trust property to be held in the name of one or more nominees. If you go to other gurus, this is what they really outline. They say, oh, I'm going to write $100 million bond for this business trust that I established as the secured party, according to my UCC contract trust when I was talking to the Treasury Department. And this is what they do. They hold the bond and they use the bond to pay out assets for all of their beneficiaries as well as expenses. And this is how they do their discharging. So now imagine you when you establish a business trust through the Treasury Department and a bond, it's really just establishing an account. So when you establish an account with the treasurer, you can make as many accounts as you want. So if you run out of the 100 million, they just simply make a new one. Patrick Devine's argument was, why the hell would I want to create a bond when I could just liquidate my current bond assets of my certificate of live birth, social security number, driver's license, certificate of title to the vehicle, my mortgage, and just liquidate all of them, put them in my private bank, and then just write everything like a normal check. That's his argument. That's why I like that approach. I'm like, that makes things easy, very straightforward. And then, and if he wants to do equitable exchange, he can do that unlimited. Okay, so let's talk about the officers. Officers, the trustees may appoint a president, a treasurer, a clerk, or any other officers they may deem useful or appropriate. And no such officer need be either a trustee or a stockholder. This is your staff. These are the officers for your staff. When I have our private bank set up with the policies and procedures, my trustee is going to have whatever that they need to manage the assets. I mean, it's going to be a lot. I'm going to try to do a lot of things. And they have full authority to hire anybody that they need for that management. But all officers shall hold office for such a period of time as may be determined by the trustees, and the trustees, if they have full control, shall fix the compensation of all officers. The trustees and officers may receive reasonable compensation for their general services as trustees and officers hereunder, and may be paid such compensation for special services as the trustees in good faith may deemed reasonable. Great. Now let's go to protection of persons' dealings with trustees. A resolution of the trustee authorizing a particular act shall be conclusive evidence in favor of strangers to the trust that such act is within the powers of the trustee. No license of court shall be requisite to the validity of any transactions entered into by the trustee. And the trustee shall have full power and authority to execute all deeds and other instruments necessary or proper to carry such transactions into effect. All deeds and other instruments. That could be your bill of exchanges, your international bill of exchanges. Those could be your own promissory notes. Anything that the trustee needs to do to settle the debts under no license of court is needed to accomplish. No purchaser, lender, or other person dealing with trustees shall be bound to see the application of any money or other consideration paid, loaned, or otherwise applied pursuant to the order of the trustees in the course of such dealing. This is putting the dividing line. This is the protection. The trustee has this level of protection from creditors or judgments or lenders, anybody who is requesting money. Again, their responsibility is to do what's in the best interest of the trust at all time. The protection of trustees and stockholders, the entity established under this declaration of trust is the trust of the type of commonly termed as a Massachusetts business trust. That's true. That's this is what went back in the day in what year was it? Like 1800s. Originally, business trusts were called Massachusetts Business Trusts and governed by Chapter 182 of the Massachusetts General Laws. The Rockefellers really were the engine that started that. They were like, I do not want to do any reporting to state agencies. I want a private way to operate my business. And so American jurisprudence on business trusts was so written, and there was a bunch of codes and case law revolved around it that brought this about. American jurisprudence really is just taking the case law and writing out the court decisions of what happened so that you can read it kind of easily about how a business trust operates and what laws that you have. And that's under Chapter 182. The general laws, and not a partnership. So yes, so business trusts are governed by Chapter 182 of the Massachusetts General Laws and is not a partnership. The relationship of stockholders to trustees is solely that of a Siste trustant, and neither the stockholder nor the trustees are partners. Nothing shall prevent a trustee in his or her individual capacity from also being a stockholder. There you go. There's only two positions that you can hold. A trustee can also be a stockholder. Not stockholders shall be personally liable for any obligations or liability incurred by this trust, or by the trustees. I'm going to skip down a little bit. Legal title. Legal title to all property belonging to the trust shall be held either by the trustees or in the name of a nominee, including a nominee trust. The trustees shall have absolute control over the management and disposition of all property in which the trust has ownership, interest, whether legal title is held by the trustees or in the name of the nominee. So the question is, who's the beneficial interest? The ownership of beneficial interest in the trust shall be divided into two classes of transferable shares, which shall be evidenced by transferable share certificates without par value, known as shares of beneficial interest. Such certificates shall give the holder thereof only an equitable interest in the trust property in proportion to such stockholders' beneficial interests in the trust and represent by his or her holdings of the certificates. The rights of the holder shall be limited to those specifically set forth in the certificate of this agreement. Again, there's different class voting that's involved with this. It's going to go into more detail about it. But once you have a trust certificate, basically you could be under two classes. You could be under the Class A voting, which is shares of beneficial interest without par value, or non-voting, which is shares of beneficial interest without par value. Here's the full description. Here you go. Sorry, I don't want to mince my words, as this is probably information overload. Class A, shares are non-accessible. Class B, shares are non-accessible, having any voting rights. So you just can't vote. So if you're share A, you can vote on certain actions that are held within the trust if the trustees hold open voting. Where the Class B, you have no voting privileges whatsoever. So how you classify your stockholders is very important. Oftentimes, and you can choose how many, you can even choose to not have any Class A voters of the beneficial interest at all. And this also does for works for investment opportunities, and if people want to give up their shares or keep their shares, or stuff like that. So there's a lot of things to you can give your stockholders some level of involvement with your business. Transferred is boring, boring, boring. I don't want to read all of this. I just want to give you guys kind of a feel for what an indenture agreement is. I'm telling you, my last job, this is all I did. It was really dry. And and like, imagine me trying to explain this to people. Like, oh yeah, you just take the chance, let's read it together. Wouldn't that be fun? Like, oh my God, Paul Michael, how much would it cost to just have you do this for me and just give me the cliff notes? That's pretty much what I did. That's pretty much what I did. But you guys want to be individual bankers, so you kind of got to know this stuff and got to be involved.
This is in the files, Paul?
What is that? Yeah, I'm gonna let people know how they can get access at the end. No problem.
Thank you.
Yeah. Purchase price. Yeah, you set the purchase price. Payment options. Transfers to family members. Careful who you choose as family. The above restrictions shall not apply to a transfer by bequest, inheritance, or gift by a stockholder to a member of his or her immediate family, or to a trust for the benefit of the stockholders, and or one or more members of his or her immediate family. For the purpose of the preceding sentence, the term immediate family shall mean with respect to an individual such as individuals, issue, siblings, lineal ancestors, trusts established for the benefit of such individuals of one or more persons referred to the proceedings clauses, and trusts that give to the spouse of such individuals a qualifying income interest for life within the meaning of section blah, 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 and gives the remainder to one or more persons or trust specified in the clause. In the case of a stockholder that is a trust, the determination regarding immediate family shall be made by reference to the individual who is treated as the stockholder for the purposes of subchapter S provisions of code. Like I said earlier, you can name another trust as a stockholder or beneficiary, and you may own that trust as well, as this provision kind of provides that the reference to that trust will be actually referred to not as the trust itself, but the beneficial stockholder's name. It could be the trustee of that trust. Here's the big enchilada. Here's your tax advantages. You operate as an S corporation. A transfer by a stockholder shall be prohibited, notwithstanding the fact that such transfer may be pursuant. Hold on. Blah, blah, blah. Blah. Okay. Unless otherwise specified, the term pledge shall encompass any and all forms by which the stockholder grants a security interest in or other lien on shares of beneficial interests of the trust. You can absolutely have a lien on anything that the trust holds, and you get the S corporation benefits of that. Without limitations, a pledge by formal instrument or bailment, and let me go back, or bailment of other encumbrances. We have talked so much about bailments, about unlimited liability, about different instruments that you can use. The bailments could be your securities, is really what that means. Blah, this is boring. I've read this. This is boring. Acceptance of S corporation status. This is actually what I wanted to get to. The receipt of and ownership of a certificate evidencing shares of beneficial interest in the trust shall constitute consent and acceptance an S corporation election. Then in effect for the trust under the code, each stockholder's right to remain a stockholder is conditioned upon the stockholder's execution of any and all applicable documents required to effect and keep in force an S corporation election, unless a majority of stockholders at a duly convened meeting of stockholders vote to terminate the trust's S election. I never give them that much control. That's why this is important, who you choose your Class A stockholders, because voting matters when it comes to tax status. Okay, meeting of stockholders, no personal liability, indemnity, no, in the event that any trustee, officer, agent, or stockholder shall at any time be held personally liable as such trustee, officer, agent, or stockholder for acts committed in the course of conducting business of the trust, other than acts committed in bad faith, such trustee, officer, agent, stockholder shall be indemnified out of the trust property against all costs and expenses by reason of such liability. Indemnity is important. Anybody who's a liability, you should kick out of your corporation. Mergers. The trustee may at any time agree to approve and effect merger of the trust into a corporation in accordance with Section 83 of Chapter 156B of General Laws of Massachusetts. You would actually put your state. I'll have to edit some of these. That was the last state that I did this indenture agreement for, so I changed a lot of the language. Okay, and pretty much what you do is you'll put the name of the trustees at the bottom, and you'll do a witness thereof with your notary seal, your notary public. And this is what puts your declaration of trust in order. So now you have this document, your trustees are listed here, and you have a notary seal, and now you have everything that you need to bring to a bank or a business deal where the authority of the management of the trust needs to be. And this is your main document. Now I bring this, you could register it with the state, so then it's in the state record, but also you're private. You don't have to register it with the state. You, by having this document under notary seal, is the registration of this document itself. And you can even private register this yourself, so then you have a private registration number that's in the private as well. Oh man, wasn't that fun? Okay.
It was.
Yeah, I bet. Okay, again, this is a quick start guide. Everything I'm showing to you is trying to get to the main point here, because so many of you are just like, okay, I got my non-UCC, I got my 3 EINs, I got my public identification documents. What do I need to know to really get this ball rolling? So this document is the unincorporated business organization and irrevocable trust management manual. I love this. This was used by everybody. They were like, great. Now I have something in one document that I can manage all of my assets and know exactly step by step what I need to do. And it's 98 pages. I know, that's as quick start guide as you can possibly get. But now you got your indenture agreement, and now you got kind of a manual to follow to manage your trust. So you can kind of get kick-started from there. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to read you this whole manual. Again, I'm just going to kind of give you the cliff notes. But basically, you are operating under fiduciary responsibility as a trustee. It's your fiduciary responsibility to act on the best interests of the trust and its beneficiaries. And that comes with a great amount of responsibility and fiduciary obligation. The concept of fiduciary is found in the ideas of integrity and reliance. The conduct of the fiduciary is measured by hindsight. Hence, fiduciary demands a high level of planning, research, and fidelity. Fiduciary responsibility may be the most onerous of all obligations imposed upon an individual under common law and the laws of the several states, its violations being punishable by lawsuits, imprisonments, fines, or all three. Being a trustee is no joke, especially if you're a trustee for a very rich family. Yeah, you need to have your assets in order and look at the laws, rules, and regulations. This is why a lot of people struggle with getting remedy, because you need to learn how to be an individual banker and a trustee and an accountant and do your bill of exchange. There's just so much responsibility that you have to do that when I was years into this truth movement, I was like, dude, who has time for that? Who does? I blow my brains out with how much information I have to go through in order to get myself remedy. It was a full-time job. Not to mention, I still have a full-time regular job, and I have to maintain a personal life and see my family on top of all of it. So it's a lot. It's a lot. So like what I'm trying to get you guys is the high level stuff. You don't need to know all this information if you can hire the right individual to do the job. Now, what did the trust, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a second. What you just saw for a trustee is that you can hire your own employees to do the management of the trust. Okay, that in itself is a huge help. When someone asked me, hey, do you want to be a trustee and like give it a try? I said, okay, I'll dive my toes into it and I'll do a little bit of management. And so what I did was I managed this guy's couple of estates. He had 3 houses, and basically it was just so much tax work and property management. So I was like, well, I'm not going to do all this property management stuff and hire employees to manage his lawn and his roofing and deal with the customers that were complaining about their sink not working and all that. So as the trustee, I took it all myself. I'm like, I'm going to hire a property management company. They can deal with all that, you know? And then he was like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and do my taxes. You got to get my taxes good. And I was like, I'm not going to do your taxes. I'm going to hire an accountant to do your taxes. And I just set everything up to hire the people that were needed to manage this person's trust. And actually, I ended up getting paid just to do exactly that. I was basically a glorified manager at the end of it. But I followed the rules of the indenture agreement. And I had a meeting minutes like once a year, just kind of do an overview with the grantor. And we would just say, okay, everything's taken care of. Now, when you start getting into like, grantors with hundreds of properties, oh my God, it's too, then you want more trustees because now you're just like, it's full-time work after that. So there's that to it. I'm trying to say the responsibility of a trustee, even for your own assets, is quite, it's a lot. And the reason why it's a lot is because you have a personal life and you have a business life and you have a family life. And that's hard to juggle while you're trying to learn the truth movement, which the truth movement tells you, oh, you need to know everything about being a trustee. And then by the time you're done with that, now you're realizing, oh, wow, I just need to run a business. Oh, my God, now I got to run a business while I have a full-time job raising kids and doing all that. That's why the truth movement, it has so many dead ends. It's just too much work. Unless you can organize your own business within for all these management roles and just say, hey, I'm now delegating responsibility. And that's why the last class for the homework assignment, I say start with the leadership principles of Amazon. That is always what I start with. Then it levels out your high standard, the expectations, and gives a framework of communication with your employees on what's to be expected. And for that, you'll always be successful. It's the bedrock by which I do all business. Okay, so before I go into a little bit more, you know what? I almost just want to say, if you want to read it, there's a lot. Well, okay, I'll cover a few things in it. Again, I don't want it to be a long thing where you're just sitting here watching me read a book, although that's what I do with Patrick Devine. So I'm going to cover just some key aspects of it. I think this is kind of a overview. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So here's the main parts: adequate capability and time to perform services required. One who accepts appointment as a trustee will own the bare legal title, but the beneficial title, that is the right to have utilization of the property, is vested in others for whom the trustee is acting. Proper counsel and guidance from legal, accounting, tax, insurance, investment, etc., on an ongoing basis. Service rendered by the trustee must be based on the highest degree of fidelity. That means responsibility for another, and principles of integrity. Failure to follow those may result in not only a loss of the beneficiaries, but may also result in significant liability to the trustee. Careful preparation and implementations of binding documents. The concept is for the fiduciary to recognize that first and foremost, the responsibilities which he or she has undertaken require acting in the best interests of the beneficiaries for their health, education, maintenance, and support. You work for somebody else full time. You're like a parent. Maintenance of quality records and regular reporting. The practice of good, concise record keeping should be of significant assistance to the family and all those assuming fiduciary responsibility within the family by having a clear records of existing documents fundamental to the implementation and administration of estate planning for the family. And then the final two: available access to information and disclosure of all relevant documents and information to the beneficiaries on a regular basis. Communication is key. One of the most important requirements for quality estate planning is ready access to relevant information. This organizing should assist in producing in a succinct way a simple method of finding relevant information concerning the family, the underlying desires and goals of the family, the estate planning documents utilized, and their implementation in all financial assets and financial statements. Yeah, it's like, it's like adopting a family member. It's like open-ended policy. Show me the books, show me everything, keep nothing from me. Preparation and filing of all reports, whether to the institutions or government tax agencies. Important records and transactions are to be kept in the trust minutes. Accurate records of what you have done will make the tasks of your successor trustees much easier. The instructions are outlined below and are very general in nature and are drafted to assist you in answering questions you may have concerning the trust of which you are a creator and perhaps a trustee or even an enjoyer of beneficial interests. All right, so this goes over the trust indenture. I mean, we just went through one basically. This is what's included with the pack. Yeah, they have their own trust indenture in there. They have all the Schedule ABCs, kind of like an outline of what it's supposed to do, how to fill out an SS4 form, the grant deed, bank resolution minutes. It's really great. I'll kind of show you how it looks. I really like this book because it's just a great quick start guide. Produce probate. It kind of gives you a description of what we went over in the Yubot, kind of all the benefits, but just in greater details. What is a trust agreement, key persons involved. Again, kind of we went in the Yubot. What are the elements needed to create a trust? Recording certificates of beneficial interest, protecting trust privacy, paying trustee and consulting fees, terminating the trust, paying expenses, bookkeeping, categorization of your business income, dividends, interest, principal. I mean, do you guys just read this? Isn't it just blowing it? What a responsibility. This is wild. Capital expenses, ordinary expenses, credit card payments. I mean, yeah, covers a lot. common law, domicile, conveyance, you know, all the business trust terms you need to know. And then the step-by-step procedure, which is nice. All the sections in law, installation of your irrevocable trust. This is really well put together, though. I really do like it. Let me scroll down to SS4 form. This form is to provide an internal revenues required. This form needs only be signed by the trustee or the creator. I usually sign as the trustee. I never reveal who the creator is. Yeah, these are great definitions. Going over to setting up a bank account, you know, I think this would be a good one. Sometimes some branch managers and some banks in general, Bank of America and Wells Fargo Bank, don't understand, don't want to understand, or just plain have a discriminatory policy against setting up business trust accounts. This makes it hard for you when the bank does not want to cooperate with you. What do you do in this case? First, let the bank look over and or have a copy of your trust indenture if they feel they need it to satisfy their curiosity. Just provide them with the indenture and not the schedules unless they have an absolute need for them. Secondly, they may want the trustees to be on the signature card along with the managers. This should not a problem because the trustees do not have to have exclusive check writing privileges. Third, sometimes the bank wants the trust to have a fictitious name or DBA from the county clerk. This is time consuming, but sometimes faster than fighting them. If you're trying to open the account in small town where you are not known, the DBA will help. Fourth, never dwell on the fact that the account is for a business trust. Fifth, always be honest. You don't have to reveal everything to be honest, but don't do anything dishonest. It will always come back to bite you. The trust is your new form of doing business and making a profit. It can solve a lot of your problems and provide exceptional asset protection and tax savings if properly operated. Treat it like you were running GMC or IBM, and your business trust will grow and prosper. You can have the peace of mind that you have done the very best for yourself and your family's future. Protecting your assets does not happen by accident, but losing them does. You have taken the first step to protect your assets. Now you can let them grow inside your trust, protected from your liability and with the best tax advantages available. I like that one. That was good. Where's the privacy? I want to go to the meeting minutes and just kind of that. Okay, minutes. Okay, this is a description of the minutes. There's like a form in here, and I will get to it. Trust bookkeeping, money comes, categorizing, credit cards, taxes. Here we go. First meeting. This is nice because everybody's my main question was the same. Like, how do I do meeting minutes with my trustees? And so this created a great outline. Honestly, I copied a lot of the text of this because it was just so straightforward. And I was like, oh, I could do this easy. It made me feel like I was on top of the world. But this documentation is that the meetings were in fact held. The Board of Trustees met regularly, and that the trust was run in a business-like fashion. Actually, having signed the trust indenture, the trustees and the grantor are having the first trustee meeting to establish the trust. And that's exactly right. This is what the first thing when I signed the trustee with the grantor, I had this meeting and did the meeting minutes for it. But this meeting must be called by the grantor, which he did. The grantor will appoint someone to act as the recorder. We had just basically a recording device. We didn't have a person there. Actually, his wife was there, so I guess that kind of worked there. The first business at the meeting should be to establish the framework of the trust so it conduct the affairs of itself. An example of a first meeting could be as follows. At first trust meeting held at this place. That upon the request of the grantor, John Smith, on this date, the following has been appointed trustees: Paul Michael Rowland, holding trust, Robert Adams, a non-related trustee, and Nancy Smith, who is an adverse. Above named persons, by their signing the trustee acceptance sheet of the trust indenture, show their acceptance of the duties, responsibilities, and assets of this trust. Nancy was chairperson. John Smith, as the grantor, now turns the trust and all assets over to the Board of Trustees. The Board of Trustees now appoint Rose Smith, who shall occupy the position of Secretary, Treasurer, and Recorder of the trust minutes. And it goes on and goes on. This just gives you a great outline. The trustee shall immediately apply for the trust federal identification number. The Form 56 of the IRS requires it. Yeah, so that's what I did. That basically the grantor says, you're going to go do that. You're going to fill out the SS4. You're going to do the Form 56. In Patrick Devine's process is the Form 56F, which is the fiduciary of a private bank institution over the FGT and the estate. So that's what you kind of put inside of there. Second meeting minutes, another example. As this second meeting minutes of the Board of Trustees, it's held in this city of, in this date, and were read and approved by so-and-so, that pursuant to minute number 11, the SS4 form was sent to the IRS. And so this is a follow-up, okay? So he gave the instructions. This is the follow-up that I did. Okay, I did the SS4, and I sent the IRS of the Form 56. Or actually, this one says, so it was not sent, but I did. Third meeting minutes. At this time, the third trustee meeting held at such and such and such and such and such and such. Being present, following decisions were reached. Next number, then go on to your meeting minutes as they happen. And then you just kind of give a list of everything that was accomplished during that time. This is business trust terms. Good. So they give you another kind of this is the definitions. Conveyance is a transfer of ownership, the document showing such a transfer or a deed from an individual to the trust. That's why Patrick Devine did the transfer by deed, and he talked about conveyance in that matter. He was transferring all of his credits or assets to his private bank of his securities, which were his COLB, SSN, and driver's license, his DD-214, and so on. Great. Let's go over domicile. Domicile is the legal residence of the trust or any individual or jurisdictive person which determines the laws which apply to the matters affecting the trust individual person. Foreign grants or trusts, you're in a non-Hague foreign jurisdiction away from the creditors who are trying to take your assets. Okay, I'm done with that. I'm going to show you one more thing. And then I'll start taking questions. Okay. Where am I? Okay, here we go. So Creditor Academy is setting up its own business trust class. I just gave you a quick guide today, or a quick startup, because people got their non-UCC and they're doing all of their assets, and they're like, okay, Paul Michael, you keep on telling me I need to transfer assets of control over to my private bank, which is the primary lien holder of, like, let's say a house. So now you're the primary lien or the secured party over the house. Now I want to speak to the trustee of my foreign grantor trust and now house the property inside of there, which gives you the ultimate asset protection. So that's why I did the quick start guide, so that you can have an indenture agreement. You can kind of get this idea planned in your mind. You get kind of the high level stuff. But Creditor Academy is going to have its own foreign grantor and business trust class. And this is high level. And I wanted to just let you know that out of all of the business trust information that's out there, I am extremely thorough. I have done business trusts for at least 100 companies when I was doing my business licensing through the Department of Health. And the amount of information you need to know to be a pro at it is sometimes easier when someone tells you rather than reads you all the information like I just did. So our professors are putting together a class, okay? This will be pre-recorded because it's so much information, but at the end of it, the professors will be able to take your questions. And I kind of outlined 27 to 30 things that will be covered in the class so that you absolutely know that you kind of dealt with every situation possible. We start with your instructions and strategies, how to name your trust, the name registration issues, how to select your trustees, persons versus entity for the trustees, how many trustees and why, how to select beneficiaries, person versus entity versus beneficiaries. That's super important when you're doing different entities and want to transfer your assets to another trust. Who is the ideal beneficiary and why? Where to domicile your trust and why? When do you need an EIN? When don't you need an EIN? How to get an EIN without an SSN? How to avoid errors on the SS4 form? Why use multiple business trusts? You can use multiple. When it's smarter to use an LLC, in some cases. The CFR 26 regulations for CPA or accountants, safe answers to bankers' questions, the art of banking, and series business trust. I mean, the art of banking is an art. I mean, you got to really know. I mean, I'm going to cover a lot of things. I'm going to have a whole class on setting up the TDA accounts. I believe we went through that in one of my courses, that Patrick Devine has a whole step-by-step on how to create a TDA account with your private bank. Again, I prefer to go this route, but I'm not against you doing a commercial bank if you'd like. But this is a totally separate class. The documents, the forms, the onboarding. I mean, if I could get this done, maybe I would incorporate it into this, but it's its own beast within itself. But great information. Okay, series banking, business trust, physical address solutions. You know, where are you going to have your address for your trust? Do you want it at your personal residence, or do you want it in another state? You know, and how do you make that happen? Financial friends strategies, how your bank account is indexed, prepare for bankers KYC interview, what type of bank account. When the bankers say no, what do you do when they say no? No, you're not going to do it. There's ways around it. You can still get around it. Bank versus brokerage accounts, list of preferred banks. There is a preferred list. International banking. Well, you're a foreign grantor trust. Well, how do you do international banking? Doing business or not doing business, the public versus the private. DBA issues, how to overcome those. Interstate versus interstate rules, or intrastate versus interstate rules. Business credit issues, which, you know, obviously we overcome pretty easily in this manner. Combined with estate plan, you should have an estate plan for any business ventures you go into. And then finally, going over lawyers, judges, and attorney problems for your private escrow accounts. I deal with that on how we do the employees and the contractors, how we hire them. You know, if any lawsuits or questions about your how you're running your business comes up, or business trust comes up. The state registration loopholes, there's a lot of them. Federal income taxes, we want to make it as low as possible. and solutions to Form 8300. I mean, that's a beast within itself, but simple enough to overcome. How to get assets into the business trust. That's what you're all asking. How do I move it into it? How do I protect it? And how and why to change the tax domicile, and also the validity of your business trust in 80+ countries worldwide. So that is truly the PhD level of, if you want to run your own business trust, the course that you would need to take. Again, it will be pre-recorded, and it's highly educational. I encourage anybody who's getting the quick start guide to get on that first. This kind of gives you the high level. And then when you go through the courses, I know there's a lot listed information in there, but it goes really quick. When you hear it and you see an example of it, all of this pressure to know all this information kind of goes to the wayside, because I'm going to put these in quick cliff notes. You know, I'm going to say, these are all the considerations, but overall, this is how you manage it. And I'm here to tell you it's going to be extremely beneficial. These files, people already have access to them if you purchase the Patrick Devine files. I will put up a link for the full files plus all the Creditor Academy files at sales@creditoracademy.com. I will put the link up by the end of the day for our auto response, so you can get instant access to all of those. But it is essential. I did 100 companies just on the quick start stuff, and but you need to be a pro. So if you end up having to hire a trustee for your estate, this would be the course you would definitely want to put them through, especially if they're brand new at it. But for your own education, I mean, you go through it once, you feel like a pro afterwards. And I'm here to tell you, I went through all of that bullet points once. I know it like the back of my hand, and I'm here to just explain it to you in a much simpler fashion. And I have our business trust group specifically designated to make it as simple as possible. And we're working full time to make it this simple. But this is an important part of the information you need to know when you get to the end. The end goal is for you to be an individual banker. And when you go and talk to your trustee of your foreign grantor trust, where you're housing all of your expensive assets, you got to be able to kind of talk at their level. You don't need to know everything that they need, that they're doing and what they know, because they're the professionals that you hired. But you need to know pretty much the operation of how things should be managed. And if you just know the simple operations, that makes your life easier. Hey, did you do the meeting minutes? Oh, no, we didn't get to that. Well, when are we going to have the first meeting minutes for the indenture agreement? You know, when is our conveyance going to happen? And, you know, hey, I saw you were putting property in the trust, and I noticed that you missed this part of it, doing the title. So we need to relook at that, and so much more. And again, this is what it takes to be in the private. It really does. And that's why a lot of people are frustrated, and I totally get it. It's like a full-time job. It really is. And everybody's just asking, how do I get remedy? And I'm not going to spend 16 years or 20 for some gurus that have been into it, learning all of these positions, when really I just need to know what the high level stuff is, just like Patrick Devine did. I'm going to open up for questions now. Thank you so much for your patience as I went through that material. I hope that was educational. Let's start with Joey Western. Okay, let's go to L.
What's going on?
I clicked the wrong button. Go ahead, L.
Oh, I'll come back to you, Joey.
Yeah, no worries.
Go for it, L.
All right.
Yep.
We were talking about the SF forms and the people who had first got pushback, and then we said that we found out people need to be not coming as the debtor, coming as the individual banker. Right. And we were talking about the UCC 3. Are we going to go over that? I think you
Yeah, absolutely. That's my UCC contract trust group. So they're doing the step-by-step process. As we kind of just went through, I remember when I first came on YouTube, I was like kind of talking like Patrick in his final process videos.
Right.
I was like, yeah, just fill out this, submit this, or whatever. Patrick set up a kind of a quick start guide because he did his non-UCC, which is his private filing of the secured party, and then he got his 3 EINs, and then he got his banking forms, and then he got his public identification privately registered mailed to himself and all of that. Right. So he was able to just start attacking it right away. And so when he started submitting these forms and all of that, like that was kind of where I'm kind of leading you right now. I'm giving you the quick start guide to kind of complement the quick start guide that Patrick already had. But the establishing a UCC contract trust, which is kind of the final nail in the coffin, you're talking to the Treasury Department and all that, and you're starting some serious asset moving, and you need to inform the Treasury of your of how your trusts are set up and your indenture agreements and all of that. That's what the big tutorial videos Creditor Academy are going to be about.
Right, but I didn't want to go to the UCC contract trust yet. Just to remember that the people who did the SF forms, they had pushback, and all they did was change something to the individual banker, and they put their assets there. I think they
oh, okay. Yeah, well, I'll cover that really quickly.
Please.
So they what they did was they got their non-UCC.
You're right.
They put it over their debtor. They registered, mailed it to themselves. Then they took the SF forms and went to like Bank of America for discharging a mortgage or something like that. Then the banks replied back to them. And they basically just said, you need to prove to us that, or because they're just looking at the records that they have in file. And they say, hey, you're coming to us as the debtor, the Paul Michael Rowland, and we only know you as Paul Michael Rowland. We see the assets are held in Paul Michael Rowland's name, the debtor, and not in this private bank. So we're going to keep dealing with you business-wise as the debtor. So that's why they got that pushback. So what they did is they took their private bank, and then they added that, and they took the trustee of their private bank, and basically they met with the trustee of the foreign grantor trust. They set up the declaration of trust and the indenture agreement to say, okay, let's now move the property assets into the foreign grantor trust. Well, now you got to notify the bank about that, right? Now you got to say, hey, that I no longer own this property, somebody else does. So now you're doing proper notification to that bank. So then they reach back out, and then they do their SF forms again, and now they can do proper liquidation because they're operating from the right capacity. Now, however, it does not mean that the creditors, the bank, did not want to still have dominion as the priority secured party over now the new private bank that you... Oh, I didn't know it did that. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Over the private bank that you just created. So now there's a fight, right? Well, you remediate that fight by being in a foreign jurisdiction. So now you're trying to say, I'm the primary creditor over this account. If you want to detest me or go against my claim, well, now you have to come to Vietnam or the Cook Islands or Belize in a non-Hague Convention area. You can't do it in Washington State. Gotcha. And by you removing your assets into that foreign jurisdiction, now you're the primary lien holder in that foreign jurisdiction where they have to attest to your claim. And that's why people get out of public fees like public taxes or excuse me, property taxes, HOA fees. And so is that I went through the similar process. HOA was mad. They were like, yeah, I'm not going to Vietnam. And I'm like, I ain't either.
So it wasn't the UCC3, it was just the indenture.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So in the non-UCC one, you're pretty much naming the secured party as the private bank.
Right.
The UCC3 gives the description of the collateral of the assets that private bank now holds. So the UCC3, you put in, hey, certificate title to the vehicle or the VIN number, the
Bank
property
account
title.
numbers, the bank account number. Because that's what I'm doing right now, because I'm putting it under the international bank, and then I want to do the indenture so that I can send off the SF forms.
Absolutely, absolutely. So according to Patrick Devine, not Paul Michael, not used as educational purposes only. The UCC3 is really just to say who the secured party main lien holder is. The foreign grantor trust puts it into the jurisdiction for the secured party to be the primary lien holder over. So you do UCC3, and then there's at the very top a filer reference number.
Right.
And so the filer reference number for the UCC3 is in reference to your non-UCC, which is your registered mail number.
Oh.
So now when you have the UCC3, you don't have to register mail it back to yourself like you did the non-UCC, because you're already referring to the private registration you already created. And now you could do 20, 30, 40, 50 UCC3s.
Got you.
You know, and always add to it. You just keep it in your private records and then send it over. So this is how people, and that's why I say it's a quick start guide. Again, it's not the final nail in the coffin, because the final nail in the coffin, you know, there's no arguing with you. You're the absolute end all be all. You notified everybody. You notified the state. You notified the Treasury Department. You are notified the Bureau of Vital Statistics. You know, everybody's on notice. That's what you got to do. You got to do notice. And so that's why we're noticing the bank. And you can even take it a step further. You could say, okay, my non-UCC, I'm going to notice my State Department, my Attorney General, whoever that I need to do. So then this is at least on record, so I have something to refer to.
That's what I wanted to do, to let them know. Okay, yeah. The last thing is you can call me Badge and Bougie, because I got my badge, all right?
Hey, solid. Right? You like it? Is it clean?
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. All right, thank you, Paul. Thank you, Joey.
No problem. Okay, let's go to Joey. Yeah, we're going to Joey.
Are you going to do a class on that, Paul, as far as like the UCC3s and how all that works?
Absolutely, because everything needs a class, because it's all part of Patrick's final process. Actually, I was just having a conversation with my division that's kind of putting that together. And because y'all organize the files, I'm finding essays I've never seen before. I swear, I'm blown away by the new information that's coming out by Patrick Devine, by all of your great work. And now I can organize it a little bit better. I'm having my team do that. I just want to make sure that before I do a class, I kind of look into the essays a little bit closer. But pretty much, yeah, what you'll do is you'll have your EINs, you'll have your trust class, you'll have the non-UCC one, you'll have the UCC3, you'll have the final process for establishing a UCC contract trust, you'll have how to discharge. You know, everybody wants to know how to everybody and their mama always saying, how a bill exchange. And I'm like, okay. So we have a lot of things going, but also, I mean, with all that being said, I also got to do the TDA accounts that Patrick Devine did, which is beautifully put together in this. Again, you get access to this when you get all of the files from Patrick Devine. But yeah, how to deal with the Treasury account and stuff like that. I got to do a class into this. Again, coming into this truth movement, it's a serious responsibility of job. And I'm setting up a school. I'm the dean of an actual academy, and this is pretty labor-intensive work. That's why we need more volunteers for Creditor Academy. We need them like gangbusters. All of you have such great accolades that could be a huge help to our mission to get this all organized. And I'm here to tell you, we are a well-oiled machine and doing some great works. And the benefits you get for working for Creditor Academy are going to be great as well. So,
sure. Cool. Okay. So my question, you're probably going to discuss this in the business trust course, but I was just trying to understand how the business trust correlates with everything that we're doing with Patrick Devine.
It correlates. It intertwines, okay? Because the intertwining comes from the private bank and the future business trust. If you want to operate in commerce and have your own for-profit corporation, you need to know how business trusts operate. Now, as it relates to the private bank, you need to know how the indenture agreement and your equitable exchange works for your private bank as well. Business trust is just another way of saying, how do I organize how my employees and trustees and the beneficiaries of my private bank are going to be utilized. Your private bank is going to have beneficiaries. That you have a foreign grantor trust. It's a trust. You got to operate it like a trust. And you need all of the things as in a regular business trust. It's just the private bank is going to use it for a different means of responsibility, as the business trust is going to have a different way of operation because they're both operating in equity and one is for profit.
Got it. Makes sense. Okay. Getting to my real quick question. When you're talking about the non-UCC, you always add like state of republic, like Minnesota, right?
At the very top, right?
Yeah, but I thought there were only like 14 states that were part of the republic or something like that, 14, 15 states. Because I was trying to look up if Idaho was part of the republic. I don't know if it was.
All of them are part of anything part of the, I mean, I get what you're saying. Yes, you would still put the Republic of Idaho or any state.
Right. Okay. All right, cool. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Let's go to In the Know.
Okay. Hey, Paul, can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Couple questions here. The establishing a UCC contract trust, is that step needed? And I just want to sort of understand, is that needed for me to liquidate my certificate of live birth?
Yeah, that's literally the whole reason why we do it. Because when you do a non-UCC, you're doing things on an individual basis, but you want everything through the Treasury Department, through your disbursement officers, which was covered in Patrick Devine's document called The Basis of the Treasury System, from the TTNL to transfer all their assets continually, not only all for one, but forever into your private bank. And you're always collecting interest payments on your certificate of live birth and other securities because it's being utilized on an invested market for profit.
Okay.
Or Nancy Pelosi.
Okay, so I've already filled out the whole non-UCC. I've got all my registrations back. I've done my 56Fs for, my private banker over the foreign grantor trust in the estate. I just want to now go liquidate my certificate of live birth. Do I just fill out the SFS forms, do a cover letter, and then send that into the Treasury Department? And then that money, what I'm trying to figure out is how does that money get put into your individual banker? Then how do you get it out?
Did you take our first EIN class that we have up?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So what did you learn from that class?
Oh yeah, I've learned about the 3 INs, setting them up. I've already established them. Okay, I've learned that the private banker is the account number and the other 2 are the routing numbers. Okay, so I don't know if there's something I'm missing here. So this is where
you are missing. You gave yourself your own answer, and you don't even realize it. What is the answer? You just said, I have the account number and I have the routing number.
Yes.
What else do you need?
That's it?
Well, do you ever write checks?
Well, that's where I'm trying to get at is there something little here that's not clicking my head? How do I
Yes.
I know when I liquidate the certificate of live birth, you liquidate it into your account, which is your individual banker. Now the question is, how do I get some funds out of that individual banker? Or you don't, or you use it to change
You
assets.
just said it. If you've ever written a check before in your life, that's how you do it.
Okay, so so there's a step where you have to get checks or an international bill of exchange or what is that process there to do that?
There's no international bill of exchange. You just write a check.
Okay, but you have to come up with
you could actually take a piece of paper, say, pay to the order of so-and-so, this date, this time, for this amount, authorized representative, and I'm doing it for a new tractor. And hand that person that piece of paper, and you had just paid them because you got assets in your bank.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why we liquidate to fund the bank. That's why you got to do the UCC contract trust. Patrick Devine didn't write that just for kicks and giggles. Okay, he did a streamlined process, but he was like, man, if we want to actually liquidate the full amount, we have to do it this way. The fast way is liquidating the small accounts that you have already available. Like people got a title to a vehicle. Well, there's a bond in a performance bond and a payment bond attached to a surety bond that is insured over that vehicle. So he liquidated those assets so then he can have them transferred into the private bank. And he was like, well, this is a process to do this and I can get this started, but I want all of the assets out of my major accounts transferred out of first. And that's why he kept pushing. That's why he never stopped when he did the 1099s. He was like, I'm doing the 1099s, but this can't be the final process because it's not liquidating all of the assets out of my account and giving me full control. So he moved away from the 1099s and never spoke about it again for almost 5 years. Like he mentioned some things here and there, but he never mentioned it. The SF forms are the final process, but the real cherry on the top of it is establishing a UCC contract trust. And that's why you guys need a step-by-step process on how to establish it and get further understanding of why it is that that's being established. And the EINs are a great start. By the way, anybody who registers for the EIN classes can take the class unlimited times. Unlimited times. So, yeah.
So I've already established the UCC contract trust. I just didn't do the SF forms yet.
You establish a UCC, you have your private bank already in control of your FGT, your estate.
Yes.
You got the TT&L to respond to you. You have the green card and everything.
No, I don't. That's what I'm saying is there a little stuff here that I'm missing here.
You did not establish a UCC contract trust, which is fine, you know, because we're all learning and we're all just kind of going, you know, down the road. Wait for my next class. It's coming. I mean, that's why I'm trying to get the essays in order of Patrick Devine. So if you do want to jump ahead, absolutely. But honestly, what I would recommend for you and your learning is come join us at Creditor Academy. I mean, we talk about this stuff all day, every day, all the time, and try to organize all of this so then you can get, so not only that you, the viewers, can get remedy, but also the staff does too. Dude, if you're so invested in this project, stop researching and start helping us, and we can help a lot of other people on top of that. I'm calling not only on you, but everybody else as well. But thank you for that. I really do appreciate it. I got to move on to the next person. Timothy Michael.
Hey, Paul Michael. So actually, to go on what he said, no disrespect or anything, but I'm just curious how, if, like, say you personally, if you've done all this, I don't understand, like, what charging for anything is about. If you personally have accessed these funds and have done all these things, why would you not be open for just
Can I answer this? Oh, Michael, please.
Go. Oh, I'm interested to see, DeCarla. Go for it.
Okay. Number one, he is not charging. This is an even exchange. He is providing these classes, this class that you're on, and everything that everybody here is on, especially on this Google platform. He is taking care of out of his own pocket. He does not ask anybody for anything. He is taking his time, his energy, and his effort in collaborating with everybody that helps him. We are all putting in our time and energy and effort into putting this together so that he can come on here. He'll give you an answer, but I'm giving an answer from my perspective that I'm tired of being disrespected. So I'm going to say what I have to say because y'all have been very rude to me.
DeCarla, I'll answer the question. Thank you so much. I do appreciate you butting in. I'll go ahead and answer the question.
They're so rude.
Yeah. No, I get you. And, you know, DeCarla's fire and passion comes for this just because, you know, Creditor Academy almost has 40 staff that are full-time, literally every day, volunteering and putting our efforts and our time into these projects to give back. So when the question arises, you know, why are you charging and, you know, doing this for your platform and why can't I get everything for free? All of the volunteer staff are just like, man, we're putting in our free effort to give you an organization for this platform. But I understand what your question really is, Timothy. You know, why you're asking, you know, if you got so much money, Paul Michael, why don't you work for free? Is
basically, you know, because it's based on Patrick Devine's material.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he did.
And Timothy, that's where you're mistaken. You don't understand. You don't know Patrick Devine. Patrick Devine was not only an individual banker, he was a businessman. He had everything I'm setting up at Creditor Academy is exactly what he did. He had a website, he had members, he sold services, he had documents that were well priced, and he went ahead and answered questions and did consultations. What you see here on his audios is not what happened on the back end of the peopleshareholders.com, which somebody took over, unfortunately, and totally ruined all of his great work. But no, Patrick Devine was a businessman. And
I'm just trying to make sense of it because I've been on this journey for 3 years, you know, literally probably 9,000 hours in.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, I listened to Patrick Devine early on and I've noticed that all the files, everything, it was just like run your head into the wall because he'd get on there, damn it, Tom, we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah. We're not doing that, Tom.
all these different, you know, things. So I kind of like put that on pause and I went down different roads and I have a really great understanding of a lot of different things. And I'm just trying to make sense out of, like you even said earlier, that you are in commerce. It is for profit and all those things. So I'm just trying to wrap my head around that.
No problem. I think it's a fair question.
Me personally, the things I want to do in my life and with different things, even with, if this wasn't even a possibility, is basically humanitarian effort. You know?
Right. So. Absolutely. Yeah. Creditor Academy is a for-profit business. And for-profit entities are separate entities from me, the individual, for my nonprofit corporation, private bank. Creditor Academy cannot create its own credit. It has to rely on commerce in order for it to get its financial backing. So that's why in commerce, you charge for profit in order to pay your taxes and do your reporting. There's every single guru who runs a business trust does it for profit because it doesn't make commercial entity. It does not involve itself in equitable exchange. In my private bank, however, that's a different story. It operates in equitable exchange, and now I can pay employees using my unlimited credit in just exchangement for the services that they provide. my private bank is not there to make a profit at all. It's there to expand the investments and property requirements and boats and cars and whatever it is that I see fit for that. However, my biggest goal is when people ask me, Paul Michael, where are you at? You know, if you've been through this process and whatever, I am not at my final stage yet. My final stage is having policies, procedure, and compliance for the private bank and the employees said by Patrick Devine in order to operate that private bank. As soon as I have that, I will be completely out of this game because there will be no need for me to be here any longer. I will have everybody operating seamlessly. I won't have to worry about bills of exchanges. I won't have to worry about, hey, how am I going to respond to this bank? Hey, I want to acquire a boat, a house, a new property. Hey, I want to do business deals and make water bottles, or, you know, go ahead and sell a new product or service and stuff like that. And I'm here to tell you that in itself is a totally different way of operating that I have actually never seen any guru get to that level yet. And that's what I'm so passionate about getting to. Great question though, Timothy. I love all questions and I understand your curiosity for it. But yeah, that is pretty much my
actual question. That was just
no, Timothy. We're done with questions now. I answered you enough. I'm moving on to the next person. Thank you so much. Okay, James Pollard.
Hey, Paul.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Paulie. Hey, question. Now, okay. Now, as far as the trustee is is there a set pay required to give a trustee?
Oh, depends how many assets you manage. Just kind of like, you know, when I had my one client who had 3 properties, I kind of just charged, you know, for the amount of labor it was going to take me to do that. Now, and also the expenses that I was having for him to help manage the job. So you do your pricing based off of how much responsibility you're taking on for that specific client. For 3 houses, it wasn't too bad. I mean, that was like 50 grand a year. So not too bad, but you start getting in higher upward stuff, then yeah, price changes.
Okay, now, next question. What about if you already had a TDA account?
Then great. Just make your private bank the fiduciary over it.
Oh, okay. I never used it, but I have a TDA account.
Oh, okay. Fantastic.
Okay.
Okay. Let's go to James Lee.
Yeah, Paul. I just want to say thank you for the information, man. Teaching us how to be free, man. One day when I get my account, I'll get you a carrot cake.
This is appreciated, man. Yeah, I spoke with some people about my favorite dessert, so I'm all about it. Appreciate it, James Lee. No problem, brother. Let's go to Dawn. Let's go to Dawn.
Hey, Paul Michael. I'll try to keep the question quick. Do I need to do the declaration of trust just because I'm liquidating the accounts, like, or is that if you're going to do a business?
Good question. When you're liquidating anything, you have to show that the private bank has ownership of something. Whether you're liquidating a driver's license, let's just say driver's license, your private bank needs to be the secured party over it. And also it needs to be housed within the jurisdiction your secured party has control, which should be the foreign jurisdiction. The only way it can get into that foreign jurisdiction is if you put it inside of your foreign grantor trust. The only way that you can specify in your foreign grantor trust that property or that asset is through the indenture agreement.
Okay. All right. I'm at a phase in life where I'm trying to make things easier. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not as young as you guys. I've already worked my entire existence. So like, I just don't want anything that's going to require a large bulk of time for me.
Oh,
You know, but
we
I
all
want to
agree with
liquidate
that.
it.
Trust me, I wake up every day like, can we make it easier, right? And that's why I'm doing the quick start guide. I mean, Patrick Devine did a quick start guide for this with the non-UCC and the 3 EINs. I really want to kind of continue that, you know, as best I can. That's why I kind of said, okay, here's a quick manual. You can get this declaration of trust in a few hours, and the manual tells you how to put the assets in there. Also, there's a quick I put some other documents in there as well. It also gives you a good comparison sheet and all that. So yeah, I'm trying to make, I know that people are busy. I mean, they got families, lives, full-time jobs and stuff like that. Unfortunately, it just takes a lot of responsibility to be an individual banker.
Well, I am signed up for your EIN course, and I am going to take other classes as you begin to offer them, because I'm a big firm believer in education. But I'll be honest with you, I've already taken some trust classes. You know, I started, I think it was James said he's been down this road for 3 years. I took some trust classes 3 years ago, and it just made my head spin so fast.
Yeah, I hear you.
I got a big benefit out of it.
Right.
Because it just didn't stop spinning. You
right.
know?
Now, wouldn't it be nice, Dawn, if you didn't have to know all of that, you just hired someone?
It sounds like the route that I'm probably going to have to go.
It's the route everybody should go on.
Yeah.
And then it's equitable exchange. Then when I got, you know, a trustee, I'm like, cool, use my unlimited credit. What do I care? You know? That's the end goal. That's the end goal. Absolutely. Let's go to John Horn.
Hey, what's up, Michael?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
All right. My question is a follow-up to someone that asked a question early concerning being able to get access to your credits once you liquidate. And you mentioned writing a check. Now, once you write that check, how would that person you wrote the check to go about cashing it?
Usually people cash checks with a bank.
So they could take my written check, and it wouldn't be any problem with me doing that as far as creating a check, and it's not with a commercial bank. I wouldn't be held fraudulent to creating a check just out of my writing.
No, because you have an account and routing number.
Okay.
And test it on yourself first. Write it to yourself and put it in a private bank.
Go to MoneyGram or go to, what is that, Money Tree? Yeah, it's Money Tree. You know, you go into Money Tree and you're like, I got a check. I got paid from so-and-so. And you're like, okay, cool.
Okay.
I'll cash it.
All right.
Yeah, try it out, man.
Now, I have another question. Now, it's piggybacking off someone else who just mentioned also, it is necessary to have a business trust.
If you're going to operate in commerce for profit, which I believe 99.99% of you will.
Well, what if you retired and you just want to reap the benefits of being retired and liquidating accounts and not even wanting to do any, that's working in the.
Are you going to buy a house?
I already own a house.
Oh, you're going to buy a bigger house?
I would like to get property with a bigger house. Yeah.
Are you going to get a car?
I was going to do it privately.
Are you going to? Yeah. Well, anything that you buy, you're operating in business.
Well, so you're speaking private and public, right? So we're going to be in the private capacity, but know how to operate in the public when we need to come into the public.
Yeah. I mean, because here's the thing, like when I have Creditor Academy, everything's separate from my private bank. If I have an account or software or technology or anything like that, It's housed within Creditor Academy. If Creditor Academy crashes and burns tomorrow, Creditor Academy goes down, not my private bank. My private bank is more my personal assets. Okay. And that's what you can do just exchangement for, like a car or a house and whatnot. But usually, like, people end up being like, oh, well, I want to get into huge real estate and whatever. I mean, you can manage it any way you want. If you really just want to sit down, have unlimited money, and do nothing with your life, which would be lame, you can do that, but it's not going to be satisfying.
Well, even if I draw the credit out, now say if I wanted to purchase a car in cash, I could write the check out and just take it to the dealership and give it to them.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, absolutely. You can do that. But again, no matter what, I don't care if it's a private bank or your business trust, you're going to be having employees and you're going to be doing a full-time job. Okay. It does not matter.
Okay. And you can hire, say if I want to get an attorney to construct my business trust, we'll
do that for you. I'm already putting that into place because I got to hire attorneys anyways to write the policies and procedures. So I was like, well, if I could just have them write out people's business trusts and do a consultation for that, and that's a lot faster, I'll just do it that way.
And also you would help with providing, guidance on how to hire or having trustees that we could hire.
No, my end goal is I'm going to have a recruiting and staffing company where I have my employees already know, because I have the policies and procedures in order, how to operate a private bank. Don't do the work to find the employees that you need because you don't know what you're doing. I'll have a recruiting and staffing company where I'll get you the employees and put them into the position because they already know what they're doing because they did it for me.
Sounds great.
Absolutely. Again, everything about what I'm building is going to be an international network, and we're gonna change the game. I'm here to tell you, I'm no joke about it. I'm all in. But it needs to be run like a business. Let's go to Berlin Gardner.
Paul,
hey, Berlin.
What's happening, Captain? How you doing?
What's happening?
All right, so I've been watching you for a couple of weeks now, and I'm at the point in time where I just need to know, like, if I'm looking for my Fidelity bonds, the Fidelity bonds will be located. Say if I wanted to liquidate my birth certificate, I would have to go to the state secretary to figure out who has the bonds, or is there a way I can find the bonds?
No, you go straight to the Treasury. They're the ones that hold all the credits. That's why you do establishing a UCC contract trust and do it through the TT&L and wait 15, 19 days after you get the return green card and all that.
After I get the return green card
yeah, because now you're issuing the transfer by deed, and all of your assets are now transferring to your private bank, so then you can use it in equity.
Okay, so I just sent it out to you. Do you know what specific address to send to the Treasury? Do we send it to the one in Deep? I don't know which one.
It's in the Patrick Devine files, which I post for free at creditoracademy@gmail.com.
Okay. Patrick Devine files. Okay.
Yeah. And again, it's like hunting. That's why I want to put his essays like a book, so then y'all can you can see what I see. And then when you do, and you get the high level stuff, you're like, oh wow, this is how he did it. And he masterfully put this together. And what was great about it is he made it make sense. And it gave a clear guidance to how you need to operate.
Understood.
Absolutely.
Understood.
Okay.
So you said it's in the Patrick Devine files. Okay, thank you, sir.
Yep, Patrick Devine files. Absolutely. Let's go to Amazigia.
Love you, Paul.
No? Okay. Let's go to Lovemore.
Well, Good evening, fam.
Good evening.
I had to wait till almost the end to get in here.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm a piggyback.
Fast.
Yeah, I got a piggyback off of Mr. Horn.
Oh.
So I have the 3 IN numbers, right?
Uh-huh.
All right. So you're saying that since I have the individual banker EIN, the estate EIN, and the FGT, I can write a check on whatever. Say I want to buy a piece of bubble gum, right?
Uh-huh.
So I can write a check to that convenience store owner for that piece of bubble gum right now, correct?
No. Did you take our EIN course, the first course that we now have available?
No, I don't have the money right now.
Gotcha. Read Patrick Devine files. I offer them for free. He goes into the full description there. What you're going to want to look for is establishing a UCC contract trust and the basis of the treasury system. He summarized everything in those 20 pages, and they are for free on creditoracademy@gmail.com. I believe they're in file 40. File 40.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Let's go to James Richard.
Hey, Paul. Do you see a need for a UCC one along with the non-UCC, and also anytime after we get the 3 EINs, we could probably do the Form 56Fs?
Establishing a UCC contract trust, you do a UCC one with your state, and then you send the Form 56Fs during that as well. And that's what makes it the final process. It's the complete picture to it. But the TDA accounts are not required for that. But if you want a bank where you get a debit card from, to where you can have, like, you know what I mean? Because we all just swipe cards nowadays. You know what I mean? So if your private bank has its own bank account, a non-interest bearing account with the TDA, it's very advantageous to have that set up beforehand, but it's not required.
Okay, so you do have to have a normal UCC one sent to your state.
That is establishing a UCC contract trust, and he goes into detail about that. Actually, that's in this document right here, which is titled UCC Preferred Lien, followed up with a commercial lien in the final exiting process. Look at that. Patrick Devine, final exiting process. Okay. And he says, this is the process to allow you to come out of the commercial law system by liening your commercial person and commercial depository accounts that are withheld from you, the living, by the United States commercial treasury. Nowadays, it is done by the UCC1 preferred lien and recorded perfected commercial lien over your accounts, thereby barring, all caps, anyone from accessing your accounts unjustly or by commercial frauds. I actually, because of the organization of files, this actually popped out to me way more when I was able to review the great work that everybody did for that homework assignment. And me finding files like this and becoming more organized, I'm able to do my job and give instructions significantly faster. And so will you, because you'll be able to read it, kind of in order from there. But yeah, you need to do the UCC one. And I just read, you told you to do that.
Okay, and that's what gets sent to the treasury, not the non-UCC.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Quick start guide. Think of the non-UCC as a quick start guide.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I went over the business trust and I did a quick start guide. But then when you do a UCC contract trust, that's the long process. Just like I have a long process for the business trust side of it as well. But thank you for the question. Let's go to Tony Coleman.
Hello, I'm sorry. Hi, Paul.
Hey there.
Okay, I have a question. So I went through the SP process, and in my Form 56, Janet Yellen was the fiduciary. So do I need to send a new Form 56 making my private bank the fiduciary? Or should I leave?
Great question. I've seen there's a lot of combinations of SPC processes. So it's not like you could just say, I did the SPC process, so I know exactly what you did. So the answer would be no. You would have to do a deep dive. And this is the problem. So many people just filled out those forms and submitted them. They don't know exactly what it is that they submitted.
Hey, Paul, I'm sorry.
Taken care of. But yeah, so they don't really understand what they were doing. So it's kind of hard. So you got to kind of go back and look what you submitted and be like, what was I communicating to the Treasury when I submitted these documents? And really take the onus of responsibility on your shoulders to make the corrections. Now, we are having some of our team members try to undo a lot of people's old SPC processes. That's actually there's hundreds of thousands of you that just have $100 million and you're just sitting there like, how do I use this? What do I do? And I mean, I feel for you because I was there at one point too. And then we'll have a solution for that. But that's like, I'm seeing the end product of what we're building to help people like you with that. And it's going to be private consultations. It has to be because everybody's SPC process is so different. You have to look at it through new eyes with everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. Let's go to Ms. Zagia. She's still not, maybe she, mute, unmute. Amazing.
What's up, baby?
What's up, amazing? Oh, she's not talking. I don't know what's going on. Kenneth Chavez.
Hey, Paul, how's it going?
Hey, doing good, buddy.
Hey, mine was just kind of like the last question in a way. Like whenever I do my security agreement for the SPC, should I put Kenneth Chavez, the individual banker, or should I just put the living man?
So you're going to want to do, you're trying to do a process that's different than Patrick Devine?
Well, I'm doing the private banker, but whenever I do my SPC, do I put, and I do my like security agreement, do I put myself as a living man or do I put myself as an individual banker?
Here's the thing. So I want to answer your question because I could be straightforward with you, but if you're doing an SPC process with somebody else and you're trying to just apply the verbiage into their process, I cannot give any confident answer to you because it's just switching around a name when really we don't have the context by which you're describing yourself.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Paul.
No problem. Alex M.
Hello. I have a question about the foreign grantor trust. Okay. So when we did it, we did Jamaica and it was listed as non-Hague and we came to find out that it is now Hague.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. I've kind of gotten mixed reviews with the 8822B.
Right.
It's 60 days prior to the move.
Right.
Which it has been 60 days. So we don't want to redo it all. But should we just call there and ask to have it amended, or
there's a couple ways you can go about it. Did you take our first EIN course for the professors?
No.
I recommend you take that because it's not just that you need to consider. There's many other things because the foreign grantor trust, man, you need to have full understanding what it is that this is used for. So then if you do decide to make an amendment, a change, or just start over, then you can make the right decision and path forward.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem. Let's go to Sierra. Yeah, Sierra.
Hi. I had a similar question to a guy that asked a question earlier, like as far as liquidating like our driver's license
Right.
or marriage license or those type of bonds, not the big bond. So if we didn't do the final process as far as going to the Treasury and sending that packet and getting it back, so how, or do we have to do that in order to be able to liquidate those particular bonds?
I mean, they're your big accounts, like fully liquidating these, because you just contracted yourself out the yin yang. I mean, for your house, your car, credit cards and stuff. You got so many bonds. It's absolutely ridiculous. And no need really to create any more on top of it. When you are liquidating those major accounts, you're liquidating all of the bondage of those contracts that you signed along with it. It takes all your mistakes and makes it the final correction.
Okay, so we would have to go to the Treasury to do that, even the FDIC, like through the banks, closing those accounts and insurance and all that. We have to do the final process in order to get that done.
Yeah, it's just a one and done because it's everything attached to it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I know.
Thank you.
And you just do it once. Like, this is not a, I mean, we're talking about sitting in for, I don't know if you've done an SPC process before. It is not, does not take you any time at all.
Right.
We're talking one day. Then what? You just wait for a letter. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to, anyways, I'm not trying to like downplay it, but you know, it's
right. But is that the only way to be able to get funds transferred into any of our private banks?
No,
into
you
our
can
private
do
bank
the
accounts.
quick start like Patrick did. It's just that I'm starting to find out that, you know, there's so many more hurdles when you do it the quick start way.
Quick start way.
You know, people are kind of getting responses, and then they're spending more time trying to thinking of responses for the quick way when really they could just do the final process, and then you're just like, dude, I'm done. And then you start hiring employees. Wouldn't that be cool, man? To hire an employee? They just do the work for you? God, that's so nice. That's why I'm working so hard to get an employee to just manage all my assets. Like, I don't have to think anymore. I know enough about how everybody's supposed to do their job. There's policies and procedures. I got software developed. That's why I'm building up Creditor Academy website. It's going to be a software platform for businesses that want to operate in the private. I'm going to use my own software for my own private bank for individual bankers. And that's what I want to do. By the time you get done with the education and you get everything done, well, now I could do business with you. You can tell me, hey, Paul Michael, I really want to get you into water bottles. You know, Trump did that. Some dude came into his office, said, dude, I think I sell water bottles for a living. I bet if I slapped your name on it and put it in the lobby, I could sell for $15. Trump never thought about getting into the water bottle business, but he said, yeah, let's do it. Now it's $30. Now you go to his, you know, high-end New York hotel down there. You know what I mean? So I want to be involved in all assets of business, but me personally, I can't do it unless I do business deals with people who are passionate in different industries. And that's how you start restoring the republic, doing business with people who are already operating their private banks and expanding from there. And now we are a collective working together rather than this truth movement trying to make everybody individually accountable for their research, when really I don't blame you that the research is very aggravating.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much.
No problem. Let's go to Joey Western.
Paul, is there an SPC process that you recommend? Is it the one in SPC University?
No, it's the establishing a UCC contract trust the Patrick Devine way, which I'm putting together right now with the UCC contract trust group that I have.
Oh, okay. So that's coming out soon.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in full, because you guys organized all the essays. Now we can read it like a book. So then I'm like, hey, not like this document. I was like, oh my gosh, this just answers the question about the UCC one just right there. And now I'm like, great. Now you can also double check me. The thing I don't like about SPC processes is they tell you how to fill out the form. They don't give you the description, and then they don't give you where they got the information from. So I'm kind of covering all three angles. So if you're just like, dude, I think Paul Michael's Patrick Devine, not me, I'm just an interpreter, but I think Patrick Devine is not the guru, a great guru to follow. Well, now you can read why he gave the reasoning for doing the process the way that he did.
Got it. Cool.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yen Lee.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yes.
I think the previous the question kind of answered it, but the UCC contract trust is a different than SPC process that everybody done in somewhere else, correct?
So it's here and there, you know, because they're just establishing who the secured party is pretty much what it is. It's just that there's a debate on, and really the debate is just between Patrick Devine and everybody else. And he's just saying, why would you operate in the banking system without being an individual banker? And that statement alone was very powerful when I first heard it. I was just like, yeah, why am I operating a business trust and not a private bank? And you get the most protections.
So that basically my understanding is we do the non-UCC one, and then
Quick start guide, yeah.
Yes, and then we do the addendum UCC 3, referencing the non-UCC 1 register number. That becomes the UCC contract trust document. Is it correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's a form of contract trust. Yeah, absolutely. It's just in the private. Absolutely. And that's why Patrick wanted to help people so much. That's why he went through the quick start guide. He was just like, how can I help people? And then it just dawned on him. He's reading definition terms. He's like, wait a minute. If I can register anything I want and I don't need state permissions, I don't have to do a UCC1 filing and go through this. I could do non-UCC laws because the 1910 Commerce Act and the 1916 Shipping Act and the 10th Amendment and the 14th Amendment made provisions for that, as well as the UCC. The UCC even has a check mark for non-UCC filing. So he's like, they had to make provisions for someone to do these private registrations. And so he just followed that. And that's why he was able to do this kind of quick start guide, because he was like, it's in the private. Just give them the proper notification.
And I have one more question about my ID card that I did it ID creator with the ID card, and then they say I cannot use Department of Justice flag and all those.
Oh yeah, I've been hearing about that. Yeah, a lot of people have been using some alternate ID things. They will not accept these private IDs for Patrick Devine. That's why I basically had to go start our own manufacturing plant for, a small one, for ID creations and badges and stuff like that, because everybody's going to get denied. I guarantee no matter who you go to, you're going to get denied. So if you want your own ID and badge, you have to email sales@creditoracademy.com. And my ID maker knows exactly how it's supposed to look, what it's supposed to say. You just fill out the information from there. Recently, the Google Forms stopped working. We fixed that now pretty much today, but we are also trying to respond to all the people that had questions like, oh, what happened here? But our process is becoming way more streamlined. Thank you all for your patience for that as well.
So I can just email my ID creator ID to sales?
No. We know exactly how it's supposed to look, exactly how it's supposed to be. Sales at Creditor Academy will make it look pretty much exactly like what's on the public identification documents that we have on Patrick Devine that we've shown before. And also kind of similar to mine as well. It's very professional, clean, straightforward. And right now we're setting up the website so that you can do kind of your own ID editing abilities and whatnot. But that takes a certain level of software that takes a little bit of time.
So it's better to cancel the ID creditor and then go to sales creditor academy.
Yeah, and the reason why is they're just going to deny you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, one last question then, guys. I got to conclude it. Let's go to L. One more question, my friend.
Hey, Paul, you and Lee kind of asked it, but I have to ask it one more time. There's a little discussion going on in the back. And I think that the mentioning of the SPC process is confusing people because it's making them think they need to do the UCC1 on the public side. So we're talking, and by the way, we are working on our UCC contract trust, but we were all trying to get money with the SF forms, right? The quick process.
Right.
Now, just correct me whenever I'm wrong. We are going to take the assets, our bank accounts, driver's license, marriage license. It's going on a UCC3. We are referencing the filing number of a non-UCC. Everything is in the private, nothing public.
Right.
Okay. Everyone thinks that they have to do a UCC1 on the public side.
Oh, yeah, no, that's only for the UCC contract trust when you send to the Treasury.
So once I put my assets on my UCC3 and I reference my non-UCC filing, which is in the private, those I can now send off that with the indenture agreement, right? And the non-UCC and the SF forms and the proof of ID and whatever else to a corporation to liquidate my performance and payment bonds, correct?
Doesn't that just make sense?
It does. It's all in the private.
It's all in the private. And you know, I don't want you guys to so much ask me, is this right? Am I doing it right? Does it make sense? Because you can only get remedy if you can defend what you sent. And that's what Patrick did. He was able to defend anything, have the laws, rules, regulations, and you got them all right there. It's in your filing reference data when you did your non-UCC. And a lot of people don't even read that. You got to read it because you got to be able to defend this. And yeah, your remedy is in your understanding, not in what you write. And but L, you're there, man. You're getting it. You're absolutely getting it. And this is gonna roll off your tongue, teacher than me. And you'll be able to, because you can see, you could run Creditor Academy and tell people, hey, this is how this is supposed to look. This is how people need to learn. And this is our end objective, policies, procedure, and compliance for our private bank. So then we don't have to spend hours every day saying, oh, I got to communicate with the hospital. I got to communicate with this bank. I got to communicate with the FDIC. It's a full-time job no one has time for. That's why we're setting everything up really well in the beginning so that I could build up for getting everything set up for the private bank, which has never been done before. So patience with me is much appreciated, and with our staff. Okay, well, that was it for questions for today, but thank you all for showing up at our Tuesday meeting, and we really do appreciate you giving your love and support. We truly are making history and doing things different here at Creditor Academy, but it's because of the viewers and the volunteers that are a part of our organization. We really need a lot more help. Creditor Academy is about 30 staff in total and still growing, but we need more help. We have so many other projects, and the benefit is that you get your process done much quicker by being in the environment that Creditor Academy has. And we would really look forward to having you, because this is a great humanitarian project of ours, and you know, we have a great passion for it. So thank you once again. Look forward to seeing you this coming Thursday, where we'll be starting our fourth quarter classes, where we'll start from the very beginning all over again, starting with kind of the basics, but adding new details. And now that I got the organized list of all the essays, I can bring in so much more documentation and clarification on Patrick Devine's final process that I couldn't before. And again, that's from viewers and participants like you. So I'll see you Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you would like to get the Patrick Devine files, know how to order the badges, and register for the classes, and so much more, you can email us at creditoracademy at gmail.com, and we'll see you then this Thursday.
Paul, can you leave the room open? Because some of us want to keep going with
I always do.
Thank you, brother. Thank you
always
so
do.
much.
There isn't a time I never do.
Okay.
Absolutely. All right.
Thank you. Nigel, we're doing the UCC contract trust, but that's separate right now. Some of us are trying to get money immediately through the SF forms, and that's what we had done in the first